Cheers. Hi friends, welcome back to my cozy little corner of the internet. I am so glad that you're here. I'm really excited to sit down with you today. I'm going to talk to you about the books that I want to read this fall and winter. I'm just really excited about it. By the way, I'm Fleur if you're new here. Hi. Sorry, already off to a chaotic start. As you can probably hear, it's raining. The rain is a paid actor. I hope that it won't get too loud because I'm in the attic, so it all hits the roof here and it can get really loud. I hope that it'll be a nice little ambiance. And yeah, let's just dive right in. Also, if you see something moving in the background, my cat is here hanging out with us. Anyway, since this summer, I have been getting back into journaling. I have a diary and I write in that every day. I've done it for years, but just more scrapbooky journaling, if you will. And I decided to get a reading journal, a book journal this summer. And I've really been enjoying logging what I'm reading and made a little archive of what I've been reading over the past couple years, printing out pictures and everything. But that also means that I made a little TBR in my journal. It's not finished yet. I still need to add a couple books here, but this is kind of what we're going to be talking about in this video, and I'm really excited to share it with you. I want to give a little shout out first to one of my sweet viewers of my ASMR channel, because she sent me stickers that she makes and she sells them on Etsy, and I've been using them in my journal and I love them so much. She added so many stickers and I asked her to add a note about her business so that I could give her a proper shout out. So about some little stickers. Hi, my name is Demi, I'm 21 years old and I'm from the Netherlands. One of my goals for 2025 was to get back to doing the things I enjoyed as a child. I wanted to do things without a goal, just to enjoy the process. This led me to rediscover my love for illustrating, which ultimately led me to open my own Etsy page, Some Little Stickers. Here I sell sticker sheets and all sorts of themes, from seasonal designs to TV shows I enjoy. I make the sticker sheets completely myself, from illustrating to printing and cutting, all in my little bedroom. I have a background in sustainability and I'm working to incorporate this into my small business where possible. This business is a creative outlet for me, something I missed for years, and I love being able to share my creativity with others this way. I hope there's something here for you. All the love. Some little stickers. What she wrote resonated with me so much because journaling is definitely something that I do when I want something that isn't for something else. So making something for a YouTube video or making something for work or something that would have to go somewhere, just enjoying the process, just having a hobby, just you and your hands and your mind and your creativity. And so I really love that. We have the same vision in that, and the stickers are beautiful, they're adorable. I love Gilmore Girls, so I love all the autumnal cozy fun little stickers, and I already used a few in my other journal. But yeah, so special shout out to her. Demi, thank you so much for even supporting me, watching my videos, and for sending me your work and sharing it with us. If you want to check out her Etsy, check the description box. I could not love this community more. Anyway, on to the first book on my TBR. We're gonna start with the book that I don't have a physical copy of, so here's my Kobo. I just have a water background that I printed out and stuck behind a clear case, if you're wondering. But I really want to read A Witch's Guide to Magical Innkeeping by Sangu Mandana, I think is how you pronounce her name. Because I haven't read the book yet, I don't know what it's about. Here is the synopsis according to the internet. Sarah Swan used to be one of the most powerful witches in Britain. Then she resurrected her great aunt Jasmine from the very recently dead, and lost her magic, befriended a semi-villainous talking fox, and was exiled from her guild. Now she, slightly reluctantly and just a bit grumpily, helps her aunt run an enchanted inn in Lancaster? Yeah. Where she deals with her quirky guests' shenanigans, tries to keep said talking fox in check, and longs for the future that seems lost to her. But then she finds out about an old spell that could hold the key to restoring her power. Enter Luke Larson, handsome and icy magical historian who arrives on a dark winter evening and might just know how to unlock the spell's secrets. Luke has absolutely no interest in getting involved in the madcap goings-on of the inn and is definitely not about to let a certain bewitching innkeeper past his walls. So no one is more surprised than he when he agrees to help Sarah with her spell. Worse, he might actually be thawing. So she gets exiled, she goes somewhere else, and then she meets a grumpy man, and then he's gonna help her and fall in love with her. And I think that that's kind of the takeaway. And I can't wait. 2 years ago, I read The Very Secret Society of Irregular Witches by her, and it was such a cozy, fun, autumnal read. I really could not recommend it more if you're looking for something cozy and fun to read in the fall that has magical realism in it. It is funny, wholesome. It has layers. I loved it so much. It is definitely the fall book recommendation for me, depending on your vibe. But she came out with A Witch's Guide to Magical Innkeeping recently. I find these names really difficult. I've heard mixed reviews. I have to say I'm not on Instagram anymore. I haven't been for a couple months, and I'm not being influenced in getting books, and that's great, but I'm also missing all the reviews, which could be a good thing, but also I don't want to waste my money, you know? So I'm gonna have to see for myself how I feel about it. I know that Heather McGlary, she's a YouTuber who I really love and admire. I'm obsessed with her videos. She had like mixed feelings about it. She loved The Very Secret Society of Irregular Witches as much as I did. And so I don't know if we're gonna have the same opinion or not, but we're gonna see. I'm planning to read it in November, so that will be in the midst of fall. And I hope that it'll be raining like this when I get to it, because that's cozy. And I feel like it would be a bit of a quicker read and a bit of an easier read than the following books that I want to talk about. If you see my past couple videos, you already know what I'm gonna say, but I'm reading The Lord of the Rings right now. I'm currently 137 pages into The Fellowship of the Ring. It is almost November now as I'm recording this. It's like the 25th or something. And this is the only book that I've been reading this month, and The Hobbit. I think that this is still gonna take me a minute to finish. And then I also would love to read the other books, The Two Towers and The Return of the King. And so I don't know how much time I will have for other books because I just don't know how fast I'm gonna be reading. I will say, if you are in any way interested in starting a fantasy journey or whatever, and you have had a little bit of curiosity for this book, I could not recommend it more. The writing is so beautiful. I'm just mesmerized and I'm having the most wonderful time. And also I love the Lord of the Rings movie, so I've just been geeking out so hard, and I couldn't not talk about it in this video, but also been talking about this in my last video, so I feel like I'm going to be annoying you, but I just can't help myself. I'm obsessed. And so The Lord of the Rings as a whole is on my TBR. If you don't know what it's about, here's a very quick, simple explanation, but it is a fantasy series. I feel like it's almost too light of a phrasing because Tolkien is such an incredible world builder, and I feel like it's the foundation of how fantasy is written today, and it just feels monumental. There's this place called Middle-earth, and there are many creatures who live there. The land is vast and varying, and it looks a lot like New Zealand in the movies because it's shot in New Zealand. But there are hobbits who are tiny little creatures, there are wizards, there are orcs, there are elves. And a hobbit finds a ring that is incredibly important and could potentially be world-ending if it would fall into the wrong hands. And so he has to destroy the ring, and so he goes on a quest. And that's maybe the most simple way that I can explain this. Realistically, because I do have other books that I want to read, and I don't want to rush to get through the series. This is not a goal that I think that I'm gonna reach or anything, but I just wanted to put them on there because I would love to just read those books and nothing else. But knowing myself, I'm gonna want a palate cleanser, and there are other books that I'm interested in, and I don't know, I might want a little bit of a break because the books are taking me a little bit more energy to read and comprehend with all the names and the way that it is written. So we're gonna see how that goes, but I would love to read all of them. And I'm going to, just maybe not at the speed that I want to. Then a book on my TBR that I'm not gonna grab, but is right there, is Love by Toni Morrison. Toni Morrison is an author who I've really grown to love. I read Beloved and I read Sula, and they are so gripping. They feel very important. It's beautifully written, and I found this at the thrift store. I had to bring it home, and now it's on my TBR. This is the synopsis of Love, according to the internet. In life, Bill Cozy enjoyed the affections of many women, who would do almost anything to gain his favor. In death, his hold on them may be even stronger. Wife, daughter, granddaughter, employee. As Morrison's protagonists stake their furious claim on Cozy's memory and estate, using anything from intrigue to outright violence, she creates a work that is shrewd, funny, erotic, and heart-wrenching. From the acclaimed Nobel Prize winner, a spellbinding symphony of passion and hatred, power and perversity, color and class that spans 3 generations of Black women in a fading beach town. I feel like this is gonna be very, very intense, but I'm all here for it. For genre, it falls under fiction, classics, literary fiction, African American contemporary literature. What are the themes? I guess class, generation, perversity, power, and hatred, passion. Okay, so that sounds just delightful, doesn't it? Cozy. I feel like it's good to read stories like this that are outside your own culture and your own comfort zone, you know, and of course it's up to anyone's taste. You can read however you want for whatever reason that you want, but I like to think that reading does expand your horizon, and so reading different stories from different voices is important to me, and I love to make the time for that. So it's definitely on my TBR, and I'm really excited to see what she wrote. Then I have another classic, which is Wuthering Heights by Emily Bronte. I started this last year or 2 years ago, and I kind of put it to the side. I think I was like 60 to 70 pages in, I'm not even really sure. But this is such a well-known fall gothic-y classic to read, so I feel like I should do it. So, Wuthering Heights. Wuthering Heights has achieved an almost mythical status as a love story, yet it is also a unique masterpiece of the imagination. An unsettling, transgressive novel about obsession, violence, and death. Once again, cozy. It begins as a man is forced to shelter at a strange, grim house on the Yorkshire moors during a snowstorm. There he discovers the tempestuous events that took place the years before. The intense love between Catherine Earnshaw and the foundling Heathcliff, her betrayal of him, and how his terrible revenge continues to haunt the present. I feel like I picked quite intense books, and I'm kind of second guessing my choices, but okay. Yeah, we'll see when we get to this one, alright? Maybe I changed my mind. That's okay, I have free will. Just because I said it in a YouTube video doesn't mean I have to actually do it. Don't get me wrong, I do actually want to read this book, but with having love on my TBR and reading Lord of the Rings, which also definitely is intense, I don't know. So let's move on to a lighter book that I put on my TBR. Alright, People Watching by Hannah Bonham Young. I am really excited to read this because I loved Out on a Limb. I didn't love Out of the Woods as much, but it was still good. I feel like she writes healthy, communicative romance stories with adult characters who can be mature about things, which is refreshing, you know? And especially after all the dysfunctional things I'm about to read, I think that this could be a really good palate cleanser. Here's what the internet says it's about. In this sexy and emotional romance from the acclaimed author of Out of the Woods and Out on a Limb, a small town woman's journey to spread her wings intertwines with the arrival of an adventurous newcomer who brings out the best in her. I also live in a small town again and would love to leave again. So is this going to be like my fantasy book? Maybe. Prudence Welch has found solace in her introverted life in Bayesville, a charming tourist town in northern Ontario. Despite once dreaming of a life beyond its borders, she now finds contentment in working at her father's gas station, writing poetry, and caring for her mother, who was diagnosed with early onset Alzheimer's shortly after Prue's 19th birthday. But as her mother's condition worsens and her father's concern about her future intensify, Prue feels her world is slipping further out of control. Enter Milo Kablukov, an enigmatic wanderer whose beat-up van, covered with ill-advised bumper stickers, rolls into town just when Prue needs a change. It's all too easy to let go with him, and Prue can't help but strike up an unlikely friendship with Milo, which leads to a wild and sexy agreement between them. Of course it does. Milo, a man of many adventures and countless stories, is not one to settle down. However, his brother's urgent need for help brought him to Bayesville, and now the intriguing Prue has given him more reason to stay. Especially once they start spending more time together, their chemistry intensifying, and casual sex lessons start at Prue's request. But as their temporary arrangement blossoms into something deeper, Prue and Milo discover that getting out of their comfort zone is one thing. Taking that leap together is something else entirely. So yeah, we're gonna see. If you want a reading vlog about this one, let me know, because I feel like there will be a lot of giggling involved. A man in a van. Damn it. Also, he has tattoos, a mullet, and a mustache on the book cover, and so yeah, that's where you get me. That's where you get me. So, like I said, fun little palette cleanser with everything else that's going on. I will say, I recently read I Hope You'll Remember Me by Abby Jimenez, and that is also about the main character taking care of her mother She deals with early onset Alzheimer's, and that was very intense to read. I'm not entirely sure how I feel about that yet, but we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. Then a literary fiction that I'm really excited to read is Never Let Me Go by Kazuo Ishiguro. I recently read Clara and the Sun, and I really, really loved it. And so I saw this at the bookstore, and I was like, I'm gonna want to read this. I know myself. Once I like an author for one book, I'm gonna want to read the rest. So yeah, I heard good stories about this, and they are said to be connected to each other. So yeah. In one of the most acclaimed novels of recent years, Kazuo Ishiguro imagines the lives of a group of students growing up in a darkly skewed version of contemporary England. Narrated by Kathy, now 31, Never Let Me Go dramatizes her attempt to come to terms with her childhood at the seemingly idyllic Hailsham School, and with the fate that has always awaited her and her closest friends in the wider world. A story of love, friendship, and memory, Never Let Me Go is charged throughout with a sense of the fragility of life. So this sounds emotional, and it sounds deep, and it also sounds very beautiful. And I'm really excited to read this. I don't know where it would fit in my imaginary reading schedule with, like, you know, the reading order that I'm having in my head. But I think I always try to kind of see, oh, I'm going to read this now and then I'm going to read this next. But I'm a mood reader at the end of the day, so I might end up not reading any of these and like grabbing something else from the shelf. If you know, you know, but I would really like to get to this. Wouldn't you just love to have like 8 sets of eyes so you can read 8 different books at the same time and be able to digest them all? Because sometimes I'm just looking at all the books and I'm like, oh, I would love to read all this now. I know that I have a lifetime, but also I want to read them now, you know? So yeah, that's the biggest joy to me of reading, is how much excitement it brings in hearing about a good story and like, oh, I want to dive into that so bad, but can only do one at a time, or 2 or 3, depending on the vibes. Anyway, last but not least, I have a book by Jacqueline Hartman that I really want to read, and this is Orlanda. I think that this is the most beautiful book cover that there is, to be quite honest. This is gorgeous. 2 years ago, I read I Who Have Never Known Men, and then I saw this one at the bookstore. I was really, really enamored by this. I thought it was beautiful. It was so messed up. Very intriguing. Would love to reread this as well. But yeah, this one, I don't know much about it, but I know that I love the writing. It's translated by the same person, so why not, you know? There's a voice in Alina's head, a voice that wants out. Brash, boisterous, sexually adventurous, this voice seems to be the antithesis of Alina, a prim literature professor for whom each day promises to be as quiet and conventional as the last. That is until, after 35 years of imprisonment, her alter ego breaks free. Taking on a life of his own, Orlanda, Alina's second self, slips into the taunt, rugged body of a young man. As Alina continues unaware, Orlanda follows, dragging gleefully chaos in his wake, vowing to leave both their existences forever altered. This sounds so interesting. I just can't wait, and I will report to you when I read it, but I feel like Jacqueline Hartman just writes such interesting stories from what I've heard and from what I read in I Who've Never Known Men. I just can't wait. It's on the TBR. So yeah, that's all the books that I would love to read this fall and winter. Remember that winter runs till February, so I don't have to finish this before the end of the calendar year. Though I do sometimes feel that way when I say fall and winter. It feels like, oh, until the end of the year. But I have time, and I'm just really excited to delve into all these worlds. I've been loving being in the world of the Lord of the Rings, and it's a world that I will happily stay in a little longer, and when I'm ready to pick up something else, I will. After reading Lord of the Rings, I might pick up something that is a bit lighter or maybe more emotional. I do feel like I have a variety of moods that I can choose from with these books that I already own, so that makes me really happy. Definitely let me know if you've read any of these books, what your thoughts were on them, especially people watching Orlanda, Love, and I want to hear your opinion on A Witch's Guide to Magical Innkeeping if you've read it. Also, let me know what's on your TBR, what you're excited to read, if you have any recommendations. Maybe don't, because I don't want to spend any money, but I do kind of want to hear what you would recommend to me. I don't know. Anyway, thank you so much for hanging out with me. I love making videos like this. If you would like to see more, leave your suggestions below and I'll see what I can do. I'm sending you all my love wherever you are, whenever you're watching this. Here's a little forehead kiss. And I will happily see you in my next video. Bye!